folks. This is Kenny with Just the Right Angle doing an update on a few events. Story I've been focusing on for a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about these tax increases that are going on, and then, of course, as you see there in the icon, is a picture of a guy that we've lost recently, Arkansas State Senator Gary Stubblefield. Folks, of course, you can follow me at Just the Right Angle for updates on this. I am on YouTube as Keep Arkansas Legal. Also, there is Truth Social, Kenny_NLR on Twitter X. I'll always call it Twitter X. I'm on Gab as well, but I don't see that much activity on there. Folks, we are going to be hit with tax increases in November. A lot of people are like, it's not even an election year, so most people have no idea what's going on. It's bad enough that what happened in May. North Little Rock passed yet another millage tax increase after they had passed one a few years ago on Valentine's Day. We have some legislation that forces these tax elections to only be in November and March, but thanks to the efforts of the globalists that are in our state, they managed to push it to where they can have them in off years. So this is an example of one. This is probably the best detail of it. I'll read this for those who can't see, as all residents of Lincoln County School District are aware, Star City Schools are seeking a $5 million increase in November. On top of that, we just received notices from the Lincoln County Assessor's Office of reappraisal on lands and personal property we owe in Lincoln County. This is increasing taxes as well. The Star City Schools will get 89% of that tax money, plus the $5 million increase if it passes. And again, these school districts receive a bulk of the federal and state funds as well. Here, I can just actually post this whole comment into the section in Rumble that has the description here. I'm able to do that if you can read the whole thing, and then I'll post the link to this in my page. But this is just one example of one tax increase. And again, a lot of times what's happening is these schools are getting a bulk of the money and they'll look nice, but then you go to the rest of the town and you'll see it's falling apart. Here's a comment here. The county is in dire need of infrastructure improvements. If I'm going to be taxed, I'd like to see a fair portion paying for things we all can benefit from. Just my 2 cents worth. There's multiple issues here. One is there's been a lot of problems with the schools. The school districts in many cases are not being well operated, mainly because of administration. Large issues administration. We've talked earlier about Dexter Suggs and some of these other school superintendents, and a lot of the Common Core math, of course the indoctrination stuff, the 1619 project, where they try to blame America for all the racial problems, even though it was a handful of mainly Democrats and those on the left that were responsible for that, along with segregation. And their current government policies hurt blacks as well, the welfare dependency, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of people here absolutely voting no on this. But again, these are people that just now see this on Facebook. A lot of people have no idea these things are going on. Oftentimes, these millage tax increases are deliberately not advertised so that only a handful of people, mainly those in the school, can get in and pass it. Here's another example. Sick of property taxes, Deshay County got $1,400 last year from me for Dumas School. Ridiculous, and I'm not even a big landowner. Put a freeze on my property taxes, but I'm 65, but I'm told if school millage increased, so would my taxes. So that's another thing. A lot of people don't use the public schools. They don't have kids in the schools, or they homeschool. And they're having to pay to build up these oftentimes Taj Mahals in the middle of these towns that are having potholes and flooding issues. The electrical grid needs to be updated, et cetera, et cetera. And again, a lot of people here are vehemently opposed to it. But again, these tax increases can be passed by just a handful of people. So what I did is I called the Arkansas Secretary of State to try to see, where we can find a list of these tax increases. I looked for it all over the website. You're free to do so as well. You can't find it. So I called them and asked, hey, where can I get a list of these tax increases that are going on in November? All they said is you have to contact each county and see if there's a tax increase. There's 75 counties, folks. And even if you can get hold of them, you may not get a straight answer because some of them may not even know. Now, here's the Arkansas Ethics Commission. I did look for any of these ballot initiatives, these ballot committees that oftentimes these committees that push these tax increases will file with the Arkansas Ethics Commission. I couldn't find one specifically. I've typed in school, Cleveland, Lincoln, and haven't been able to find any. But their search thing isn't the best. So you type in school, this is the Umpire School District. I don't even know what this is. But anyway, you can look through here, see the list of committees. I've looked through it and I can't find it, but maybe I've missed it. Maybe it's under a name that doesn't include the name of the the county. I don't know. But I'll share this as well. So I mentioned Lincoln County. Lincoln County is going to have a 5 mil increase. This is a post by Greg Vardaman, and he's talking about the one in Arkadelphia. Arkadelphia is also going to have a tax increase election. And in this tax increase election, they are going to try to push for, let me see if I can find the story here. This is a post by, credit to Greg Vardaman, and he took this story from this newspaper, Arkadelphia.com. And this is posted August 26th, just a few days ago. And this will be an increase of 3 mils for a span of 30 years. I forget how many years the Lincoln County one. Usually these things are like 20, 30-year construction plans. And that's important because oftentimes they'll say, well, why can't we wait instead of November to wait till the March primary so we can save money and just put it on the ballot that's already going to be there. And usually almost every time you do that, they'll come up with some excuse about, we'll lose money if we don't get started in the construction. They always say that. And usually it's a lot of money. Like here, this is $37 million. That's going not to roads, not to fix the sewer rate, not back in the pockets of small business owners, not in the back of pockets of mom and pop stores, many of which are closing down. But instead it's going to the school district, which already gets the bulk of federal and state funds. The increase, if voters approve it, would bring the total to 47.65 mils. But it also hits the property of business owners because a lot of times when they sell these millage rate increases, they only talk about how much it's going to affect your property. But it doesn't just affect your property. It affects all the business owners as well. It affects future business owners, people that decide if they want to build a business in an area. They will look at things like the tax property issue. And if they decide it's too expensive, they won't build there. So you lose business growth. And they don't talk about that. They try to leave that out. And here along this issue, I'll share this tab. This is a list of property taxes. This is kind of the median property taxes and by county. So this is how much they take out of you right now. Now, this website states that Arkansas is low in terms of the property tax issue, but it's actually a lot higher when you consider the overall taxes, such as income tax that we have, the sales tax that we have as a state, the sales tax that many counties has, the sales tax that cities have. So when you stack that on top of this, you see that Arkansas is still one of the highest taxed in the nation. So there's Lincoln County 386. Where is Cleveland County? 399. And then Arkadelphia, I actually forgot which. I think is it Deshay County that Arkadelphia is in? I can't remember. Whatever county. No, it's Miller County. Miller, I think it's Miller. 551 in Miller County. And again, some people can afford this, but there's people that are on fixed income that can't. It's too much. But those are just two tax increases elections that are going on in November that you're not going to hear about until it's too late, that just got voted on in like August of this year. And these are 30-year, multi-million-dollar plans that the people just now heard about. And here's the big one right here. Cleveland County School District board voters to place a 6 mills increase on the November ballot. The current millage rate is 38.1. This would keep the 44.2. For property owners, that's an increase of about $120 a year in taxes for every $100,000 of a property's market value. And again, they're reassessing a lot of these people. So the value of your properties, that tax rate's going to go up. And it's going to go up for your local grocery store, your mom and pop store, even that little, your favorite meal truck. Everybody's going to get hit with these taxes. Now, what they did for the people pushing for this tax increase, they said, well, if you go around the other counties around us, the school districts around us, we're a little bit lower. And then they did talk about this other school district rate. And you can click here to see some of the other school districts. This actually may be, well, this is a chart here of the various millage rates. But I like the other website better because it breaks it down to about how many in terms of median, in terms of the dollars that they're going to hit you for. So Cleveland County citizens had packed showed up to this meeting, but the 6 mil increase had already been decided. When board member Kelly Taylor asked board president Wilson if there should be citizen input, Wilson said, I'd rather not. So, and you can see a live stream of this meeting there. And of course, it's going to cost about $10,000 extra to put it on November instead of waiting till March. I asked during a broadcast about this, and I was told by someone else that it could be that the architect claimed that it was going to be an increase of $500,000 if they wait until March because of materials. I know inflation's bad, but I don't know that it's that bad. So again, architect showed some renderings that could seat over 1,000 people. The gym was never mentioned. The Cleveland County School District had approximately 668 students during the 24-25 year. So I don't know why they're going to have a big basketball and gym arena that could seat over 1,000 people. See, during this first meeting, the board was never clear. I'll try to look on that other broadcast to show where I asked the question, well, what is this going to cost a lot of, how much, why not wait until March? And I had a supposed response from somebody. Let me see if I can find it here. Here it is. So again, this was a 20-minute meeting where they talked more about the millage, but again, I didn't see where they allowed any type of public comment at this hearing. Here it is. Share this tab. This is Melinda Wilson McKnight, and she said costs would be $500,000 more if we waited according to the architect due to the increase in building materials, etc. And I always replied, there's always a time crunch with these 20, 30-year projects. A $500,000 material increase seems a lot, even with inflation of the Federal Reserve notes happening today. It's a $12 million project, according to this lady. I'm sure the architect can back up what he said. You can get his name from the office. And she didn't know, but the cost is actually going to be $10,000. That could have been spent on fixing roads or maybe getting better equipment for our first responders, but instead it's going to be used to bankroll this tax increase. So let me go back to the South Arkansas reckoning story here. And again, they did the live stream for both these meetings. Special meeting was short. It lasts less than 15 minutes. Had a prayer and a pledge, and they basically did that, voted it, and left. And it looks like whatever they had one hearing from the architect in the other meeting, and then one question was if the school board would host community meetings to answer questions from the public. Superintendent Davian King wrote an email to the reckoning, not that I'm aware of, but I'll let you know if they change their mind. So, again, they're trying to keep this on the down low. And everyone knows the reason why. It's because they want to sneak these tax increases. And that's also why you rarely see these tax increases advertised. And the sad thing is oftentimes they sneak them through. So here, I'm going to go ahead and post the link to the Arkadelphia story so y'all can see that. And then I will also give credit to South Arkansas Reckoning again for the reporting on the Cleveland County millage tax. Folks, if you know of any of these other tax increases, let me know. You can contact me. You can comment on this video. You can email me at justtherighteangle@yahoo.com, where I will and say, hey, there's a tax increase going on here, or any other news event. And I'll type that into the chat before I leave. But folks, before I go, as most of you know, if you've kept up with Arkansas political stuff, we lost a great Arkansas senator, Gary Stubblefield. I had met this guy several years ago in his fighting for conservative rights in the Arkansas legislature. Great guy. I had just recently seen him at the Conduit Calvin Coolidge Awards. Recently, he became ill and had passed away. I believe it was the day before yesterday. Flags are being flown at half staff. Most of you can kind of see his record, but I want to see. This is me filming him when he pushed for a bill called SB 43, which would force these child indoctrinating sicko drag queen events to be classified as what they should be, which is adult oriented. So here he is, literally protecting the kids, surrounded by the media, a media that hates him, and a bunch of activists that hate him, but a few people that support him as well. So I'm just going to play footage from him.
Stubblefield, injury bill. Do you have any particular questions for Senator Stubblefield after testimony? Now would be the time for that. If not, Stubblefield, you're recognized.
That's me in the background having a very packed room that day.
Committee, and thank each one of the individuals that spoke today. In regard to the economic impact of passing this bill, I think we found that
many of the states, including Florida, who lost 140 billion in Disney World alone, finding that going woke was going broke. And it's cost a lot of other states a lot of money because these corporations found out that the average citizen does not go along with their ideology. And just like these groups that came up here today and spoke, their heart's convictions, that's what they believe. As a Christian, I believe differently. I believe that, for example, in Deuteronomy 25, I believe the Bible. I believe that if the Bible says that if a man dresses like a woman and a woman dresses like a man, it is an abomination to God. I have the right to do that. Under all of our rights, the Bill of Rights, with each one of those rights comes a duty. Just because you have the right to free speech doesn't mean you have the right to go in a hotel or, a theater and yell fire. Just because you have the right to own a weapon to protect your property, your family, yourself, doesn't give you the right to go out and buy a gun and kill an innocent person. The founders knew this. They knew that each one of these rights that they had granted to us, they didn't grant it. God granted it to us. The Bill of Rights did not come from the Constitution or the government. They came from Almighty God, and they recognized this. But with each one of those came a corresponding duty, and we have a duty to uphold those. I happen to believe this way because I've talked to a great number of people in my district, and I think if you'll talk with those in your district, which is a little late now, you're going to find out it's the same thing. But if there's ever been a day to protect our children, children are being exposed today to things that 30, 40, 50 years ago, we couldn't even imagine. We could not even imagine. It's a shame that we even have to bring a bill up like this to protect our children. Because they are going to be the ones one of these days that sit here in these seats and make laws that our grandchildren and future generations are going to live by. So I would appreciate a good vote, and I want to thank you again for all your debate.
There he is. Well, folks, that's about it. Always find a way to get involved, folks. Remember, when the wicked rule, the people groan. When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. I may have flipped out the verses on that, but I'll talk about a lot more things going on later on. Again, follow me at Just the Right Angle. If you have any news tips, email me at justtherighteangle@yahoo.com. You can also follow me on YouTube, Keep Arkansas Legal. That's where that video is. I use YouTube because it does have closed caption. Rumble hasn't quite figured it out yet. Anyway, find a way to get involved. You all have a great day.